What up, world? It's your boy VJ, aka Mr. Victory, and we back, baby.
Yeah,
What's up? I got
after
my
two
brother
months.
with me.
After 2 months. Yeah, crowd asked him why we haven't recorded in 2 months, y'all. But
See,
it's your boy
you
Elijah,
know,
man, the sports nerd, man. We back at it, man, after 2 months. It's not my fault. So if y'all want to complain, y'all can complain to Mr. Fantasy Guru over here. And we you can definitely shoot their questions to him because it ain't got nothing to do with me. But uh, in regards to everything, man, today, man, is gonna be, some quick topics, but man, definitely one of our favorite topics. We definitely always go back into social justice in the NFL about that aspect of it, and then also talking about the NBA. We're talking about basically opening nights, first weeks, everything like that. We also want to just discuss that, and then from there, man, you know us. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna keep it short and simple, but it's still at the same time, man. We're gonna hit you with some good facts. But start us off, V, with we'll go with the NBA. We'll go with NBA right now. Let's end
all
it with
right.
social
Well,
justice.
we back, man. NBA is back. It's here. We had our first week of basketball going, starting this past couple days, and man, there's been some great games going. Unfortunately, my Dubs lost by one. They let
What?
Houston
I mean, you weren't down by
get that.
30. You weren't down
Yeah,
by 30. So let me throw that out there.
that's all right. So uh, some surprises. Man, we have some immediate injuries. Shout out to Gordon Hayward, man, praying for his healthy recovery because whoo, that was brutal. Jeremy Lin also suffered a bad knee injury. So it's super early in the season, so it sucks for those guys who are going to be out long term. Like I said, just wishing for a speedy recovery for all of those guys.
So what's your predictions?
Um, Predictions.
And I'm not talking
Well,
about the obvious predictions. So please don't go in the Dubs are gonna okay. We're not talking about the obvious. Come on now, man.
I mean, hey, see, this
Dang,
is what
man.
happens when your team not in the playoffs or
You're
nothing.
right. You're right. My team ain't gonna be in the playoffs for another couple years.
especially with Lonzo putting up 3 points.
1 for 6. We're not gonna talk
One
about.
for six.
I'll talk about that
Hey,
on my
look.
segment.
We'll talk about that in a second. But as far as the season goes and what I'm seeing right now, there's some teams out there that's looking solid as far as people always talk about the super teams, but I think there's some teams out there that are a little more well rounded than we think. Minnesota, I really like, man. I think they're gonna
Mm,
finally get back into the playoff picture.
Milwaukee. I mean, but you can't time out.
Woo!
Time out. You can't say Minnesota has a big three, or not really a big three. I would say
But
a
they're
two and
not.
a half. I would say a 2.5 because Karl Anthony Towns, hands down, that's a one, a franchise player, hands down. And then you
Right.
have Jimmy Butler, which is again he could play anywhere. Is still of the best 2-way guards that's out there. That can play on the perimeter, still be able to play in the post. If he needs to play, he can be able to score. If he needs to take over a game, he can. Now, when we go with the money that they just paid for Andrew Wiggins, I don't know about that because I don't think that was a worth it piece. Andrew Wiggins has not showed me anything. That team on the Timberwolves was supposed to be Andrew Wiggins' team, and then he sucked so bad, and then Karl Anthony Towns came, and then now it's his team.
Well, I mean, Andrew Wiggins had been tossed around, came from Cleveland originally, and they sent him to Minnesota to just they thought Minnesota thought that he would be worthwhile for the trade. I don't think he's horrible. I think
I
he's
didn't say
still
that.
a
I mean,
contributor.
I don't think he was worth the money that they
But
paid. Not no
I
100
think
over $100 million.
yeah, I think you can we can agree to that. But Carl Anthony Towns, the cat, that guy, he's the truth, man. I mean, he's the next up. But the reason I say they're up and coming is because for that reason. I mean, those guys are still young. Jimmy Butler is probably one of the older guys on the team.
I think he's like 25,
And
26.
he's mid-20s, and so they're meshing a little more. They played a tough game against the Spurs for game one. Um, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be in there competing with some of these guys in the Western Conference. Like you mentioned on the East Coast, we got Milwaukee. You know, Giannis, man, that dude. Hey, he's a monster. And you seen what he did against Boston the other night. Just
I mean,
just a
I have no
monster.
words. I have no words.
What? Yeah, how else can you describe him, man? But Milwaukee, they're slowly coming out. I
For
don't think
me,
they're gonna go to the championship anytime soon, but they'll be in the playoffs.
for me, okay, I'm gonna just say my highlight points right now. My highlight points definitely in the West. I mean, I loved what OK3 did, even though they have no bench. But for Russell still to be able to get a triple double with those
Mm-hmm.
players that are there, Paul George now to be an outside shooter and him hitting threes. Melo, he ain't wearing a hoodie, but he's definitely showing you that hoodie Melo was out there.
Yeah,
And for them to win again, it was only against the Knicks. I mean, it still was
it was a
a
dominant
a
victory.
promising thing. Again, my order of the West, and I think we talked about it on that Saturday at breakfast, is you got Dubs, you got Spurs, I got OK3, and then I got probably Houston. I mean, you could throw Houston at number 4 spot.
Yeah.
In the East, my surprise that I love talking about is 76ers. I know Johnny is happy that he has some kind of promise because
He is.
right now, man, with Embiid to me is better than Karl Anthony Towns.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
I mean, the way he play. I mean, if he could be healthy like Karl Anthony Towns, I think he would show better numbers.
I think Karl Anthony Towns has too many weapons. He could put the ball on the ground.
And you don't
He'll take you off the
and
dribble.
you don't think Joel Embiid can do the same thing? Joel
Not
Embiid
like
can do the
not like
same
the
thing.
cat. Not
Argues.
like the cat.
Come on, man.
Uh-uh.
Let's not even go on there.
Let's
Let's not even
pull
go on
out
that
the
track.
highlights.
That's not. Oh,
Let's
we
pull out the
can. We can
highlights.
pull out the highlights, man.
Hey, look. If I'm making my roster and I need a big man,
I'm
I'm
going
taking
Joel
Karl
Embiid.
Anthony Towns
I'm
before
going to
Embiid
with a
all day.
healthy Joel Embiid. If we're talking
Yeah,
about a
see, you
healthy,
got to put that
yeah,
disclaimer out there.
a healthy Joel Embiid.
but but Embiid is a close second for me.
Um,
Who else I really like? Not to cut you off. From the Sixers is Ben Simmons, man.
can I finish? I didn't even get to
Hey,
finish it with the
I'm just saying. I gotta put
Ben
it out
Simmons.
there.
They have him listed as a point guard. Ben Simmons is 7 foot. 7 foot.
Nasty.
7 foot.
You do you think he can be as productive as KD?
Give him some years. Because even when KD was doing it, I mean, KD still was averaging, a nice 20, 23, 25 a
Yeah.
game. But still, KD didn't develop his deadly, like, I'm going to just pull up in your face until he got to
Right.
OKC when, Russell got there. And then both
And
moved
I
to
think KD's more of a scorer. Ben Simmons is more of a facilitator.
Ben Simmons has the attributes of a LeBron and a KD.
And I
But
want,
basically
you know
both.
what? I want to call Ben Simmons he's similar to Magic Johnson to me.
But Magic wasn't scoring like that. Not like that.
But he can score. That's the
But
thing.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Magic wasn't scoring like that. Ben is a scorer. Ben is a
Hey,
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Magic wasn't a like he couldn't I don't think Magic would take over games like that. Magic was
ooh,
I'm gonna distribute and I'm gonna get everybody involved and I'll make sure everybody gets going. But
I
I
see
don't
what
think
you're saying, but Magic could turn it up, man.
I'm not
He'll
saying
turn it
no,
up
no,
when he needs
but
to.
I'm not saying that. But his overall career aspect was Magic wasn't a I'm gonna
But
give
yeah,
you I'm not gonna give you
he
25,
was a floor
25.
he was a floor general.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying he was Magic wasn't a 25 and 10 type of dude. Ben Simmons should be a 25 and 10, and we're not even talking about the rebounds. Ben Simmons should be a 25 and 10 with just assists and points, just by what he has. And then the last team, man, that I've said, and I will say again, man, that is a great team on the up and coming is going to be the Sacramento Kings. It sucks to say because I am a Laker fan, but if we are being realistic, we're getting Darren Fox, getting Justin Jackson. You added 2 veterans with Zebo and Vince Carter. You're on the up and coming, man. It might be too young. It depends on how they play together as a team.
Yeah.
But I could see them fighting for the 8th seed. I could see them fighting for the 8th seed, depending on how they're gelling and how that goes. But I could see them fighting for the 8th seed.
Let me ask you this: do you think that this next wave of ballers that just came in, and maybe that's been in for the last couple of years, is the next wave of superstars.
Yep. I think the last class that just came in was the '03 class of how LeBron, Wade, and all them came in, where they were the new,
Right,
basically superstars from the '95 class. You know what I'm saying? Or the '90s,
right.
was it '95?
96,
'96 class with
96.
Kobe and Steve Nash and all them. You know what I'm saying? So it was just
Right.
another wave, and now you have franchise players all over again. So I think definitely this is a new wave. I mean, I'm excited to see. Sucks to say, I'm not really excited to see the Lakers. I'm not. Let's get on this segment. I'm not happy with the Lakers, man. I'm not happy with Lonzo Ball, especially with D'Lo. You getting rid of D'Lo. If I could have done everything impossible, I think you should have got rid of either Julius Randle and maybe Jordan Clarkson plus a pick, and then go get Brook Lopez if that's what you're trying to do, to get Brook Lopez just to get his contract. And then add Timothy Mozgov. If that's what you're trying to do, you should have added those 3 contracts plus that, and then got rid of that. But getting rid of D'Lo, I don't think D'Angelo Russell was a bad player. I think he was stepping into his own. I mean, you think of the first year he got there, it was Kobe. It was Kobe and Kobe's year, so he couldn't really be himself. Last year was his first year that he had kind of the free reign to do anything, and he was stepping into his own. This year he got traded.
But do you think he was focused enough in LA?
I mean, think about it. The same distractions is in New York, New Jersey area.
But you know how basically he got sent off, and it wasn't necessarily something he asked for. I feel like maybe it was kind of a slap in the face to him. Like,
I
I think he
mean,
took it some type of way. And
no,
so
and
why,
he should have. I mean, he should have. Just like Bleacher Report just reported, Devin Booker said he's gonna drop 81 tonight on the Lakers because they traded away his best friend in D'Angelo Russell. So I mean, but I know Devin Booker should not talk. You lost by 50. Your last game, you talking? Come on, now, man. Yeah, don't sit. And again, the Lakers ain't that bad.
If you should have put 81 up, it should have been yesterday.
Thank you. Where you had all the rain to catch up. So I don't want to hear that. I'm gonna drop 81. First of all, you're not Kobe. It's not gonna happen. Right. But in regards to everything, man, like I said, I'm okay. Let me just break it down. The Lakers, you got from the top up. I will say this again. I think the Lakers can have a 2.0 lineup of the Warriors' deadly lineup. How they call it deadly lineup with Draymond, Andre, Clay, KD, and Steph. I think the Lakers can possibly have the same thing where Luke can be able to utilize that with Randall, KCP, Ingram, Ball, and being able to have Guzman. But they have to be able to develop. Like, the one thing that I've always questioned, and we can go back to the tape of what I used to tell Jordan Miranda. Same thing, man. Like, I don't. Alonzo needs to be a scorer, man. This is not a league of where you could be a Jason Kidd. You know how Jason Kidd was giving you 6 points and 5 rebounds, or I mean 6 points and 10 assists and maybe 8 rebounds. No, man, you need to be able to score. This is a league where your point guard has to score, has to be able to take over a game where he's supposed to give you at least 15. Right. But I mean, we'll see, man.
You think Lonzo needs to be more aggressive? Is that what you?
You look at preseason. I mean, preseason is what, when we did our 1 hour episodes, we called nonsense on his first game. Right. It's the damn shoes. He needs to go put on some Kobe shoes, but that's a different story for a different day. Yeah. But in all honesty, like, I just don't think he's it right now. But we said that the first game of preseason, or not a preseason, of Summer League. Said the same thing. We said, hey, he's not that good. He was getting toasted. Right. But I mean, hopefully after the first game, thing changes. In Summer League, he also took over games when they needed him. But we need you.
You got to see it on an everyday basis. That's what makes
it's consistent. That's what NBA is.
Good from the great.
I mean, and then you go with Ingram, man. Just Ingram got to step up, man. If this is your second year, and I'm not saying you have to have a big dramatic jump, but you should be giving us 23, 24 points.
Yeah, he's supposed to be that scorer that they was looking for, that long,
If you look at the game, against the Clippers, they didn't have a score. It was, we're playing team ball, and you look at the Spurs, they play teams ball, but still at the same time they can still be able to kick it out to Kawhi, and Kawhi will be able to take over. And now LaMarcus Aldridge is finally stepping into his own where he's able to kind of step out, do his thing. So I mean, the Lakers, man, they got so much. They got talent, but just because you have talent doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into wins. So we'll see. But going into our next topic, man.
All right.
We'll talk about the social justice in the NFL. The main reason why we're talking about this is because the NFL owners and players association ended up having a meeting in regards to making it mandatory for players to take a stand and have a stance on the national anthem. You went first and last one, so I'll go first on this one.
All right.
So in the early 2000s, NFL players didn't have to be on the field for the national anthem. I say this all the time. It's no disrespect, but when money start calling and somebody was paying you now to be able to show your patriotism, then you took it upon yourself and say, hey, money's involved, so now let's do it. So they weren't patriotism when they're in the 90s and they weren't on the field. You didn't see if they were kneeling or if they were standing. But most importantly, with this, I think the most important fact is knowing what you are standing for, knowing what they're kneeling for. And as much as Roger Goodell says, well, I'm just trying to figure out what they're kneeling for, but you're still trying to suggest, well, you still stand on the national anthem, then you still don't know why they're taking a kneel. Police brutality. I don't know if that was in Baltimore. The last case that the police officer just got off for shooting another
St. Louis.
Yes, St. Louis. There you go. There goes St. Louis. St. Louis just got off. Police officer got off. Was getting paid leave as well during this whole time. That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for equality. Why is it that somebody can get? You look at the newspaper. The guy that, and again, RIP to the people in Vegas, but you look at the shooter that happened in Vegas and how the tabloids put him in there compared to, you look at where Eric Gardner was, a misfit, a thug, this and that. But the description of the guy from Vegas was he was depressed, he was this and that. Again, equality. In regards to getting job offers, why is it that when we have our name a certain way, we probably are not going to get a job in our African American community? If somebody was called Lexus, I'm not saying it's the right thing to name your child, but if that's what your mom wanted to name you, why is it wrong for that person not to be able to get a call back just because her name is not Suzanne or Amy or anything like that? In regards to African American, why is it bad that they won't hire somebody with dreads? That's our heritage. Why can't we do that? You want us to have a clean cut fade, but it's okay for Tommy to be able to have his hair the way he does with a slick on a curve. What happens if that's what we don't want in our business? No, it's society accepts this, society accepts that. So at ending of it, man, I feel like in regards to this protest, man, I feel like they're missing out on the point. And I think my uncle said it best in one of my comments. They're changing the narrative. Instead of talking about the narrative and what the narrative originally was when Cap was when Cap was kneeling, you changed it to it's about the flag, it's about the military. That's never been there. That's why Cap changed his stance in regarding the sitting. He was taking a kneel. And you look at anything when a military presents a flag to a resting family, they're taking a kneel. You look at just when they're doing a prayer, when they're showing respect, they take a kneel. It's not like they were disrespectful. If you talk to a lot of the veterans, especially the ones in their right mind, in regards to this reason why he took a kneel, they're going to tell you the same thing. I respect it. I gave you a reason to have a freedom of speech, to be able to express the way you are going about yourself. Same way we are on social media, being able to type and be able to say how we feel. We have a freedom of speech. You go to any other country, we can't do that.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. As far as, all your points, and just to kind of roll with that, the NFL, if I've read right, has discussed with the players union that that they want to start either creating programs or placing funding towards learning and educating more about social injustice.
But as Michael Bennett said, they don't want to have any conversation without Cap there.
Right, which is very important. I think that's only right. Cap's the one who generated this whole thing. So they need to bring him back. Somebody's got to bring him on. Now, I do have a question, and this is just something I thought about. But do you think at this point players should stop kneeling? And the reason I ask that is I wonder, because the way they try to drive the narrative in the opposite direction of what it's supposed to be. Um, do you think that maybe players should start initiating conversations in a different form, so that now that the media and the owners, et cetera, aren't talking about just the kneeling. Now they gotta listen to like should post game interviews, should these guys be talking more about what they want to talk about, um, you know, and keep it moving forward as far as the kneeling goes, because the kneeling at first was to use their platform and create a discussion. Right now, the discussion's been created. Do we should the kneeling continue? Is my question.
Off the dome topic number 1 today.
Yeah, hot take.
In regards to that, no, I don't. I think they should still keep kneeling, and I think this is probably some pushback. If you look at Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, you look at, maybe during Gandhi's time, you look at all the pioneers of, justice, whether that is, social justice and equality, in that regard. There was the same thing. Narrative was pushed to do something totally different, in regards to what the Freedom Riders were doing. It was, you look at that and all those media tabloids that said the same thing of, you probably got somebody that's trying to kidnap these kids and you're changing the whole narrative when that wasn't what they were making themselves about.
Right.
I think you keep pushing forward, and I think you keep making the message out there on what it's about. Even though Michael Bennett will take a kneel. When you're going through maybe your pregame or your when you do have press conference and you have media, you start talking about it. But you don't get yourself off the narrative because it's getting hot. Because
Right.
it is getting hot for a reason. But why was it that Martin Luther King was able to make change? Why
Right.
was it that Rosa Parks was able to make change? Why was it that Malcolm X made a change in regards to a demographic of a specific religion in regards to the Muslim community? Why was it that with his voice that community was able to push forward, okay, rather than the other people that were leading them at the time? I mean, you look at the different narratives, man, and you keep pushing forward, man. You're gonna have pushback. You're gonna have people talking about this and that. But I think that's when it's important for you to keep standing on your morals.
I love it.
And I think when you do that, man, you're gonna have a diamond. You know what I'm saying? A diamond is created with pressure, and
Right.
pressure is around you right now. So you got to keep pushing forward.
Right. There it is. There it is. That was a great response. Um, just as far as progress, I do think that there is some progress. I won't say a whole lot, but I think the fact that, like you said, these guys who have continuously talked about, or spoke on the issues, they're reaching out. I know some of the players actually went on ride-alongs with officers, and there's
Brandon
many.
Marshall.
Right. Many players helping with these natural disasters, and I bring
Especially the
that
ones
up because
in the North Bay.
right, because I bring that up because I feel like it all ties into you know making our country better, for everyone, including people of color.
Because I mean, you look at what 45 did. Did 45 come and visit the Northern Bay after all those fires? I mean, we've had, I think Santa Rosa is not completely done,
I ain't
but
seen them.
Santa Rosa it has a big composition. I mean, portion of it gone based upon these fires.
Right.
You look at Fairfield damaged, Vallejo damaged. You look at all these places that were damaged based upon these fires. But we're supposedly trying to make our country great in that regard, but you're not going back to be able to put us out there. Like I said, I commend organizations that are stepping up. Kappa Alpha Psi, organizations that are in, whether that's in Reno, whether that's in the Bay Area, LA, all over it. NFL teams that have stepped up, like the Niners, in regards to their preseason games, when they were doing that, in regards to the basketball games, how the Lakers did it for their Vegas, when the Vegas shootings happened, how they were able to donate. Just to see those things come together, man. It's amazing feeling to be able to know that we're moving in the right direction. And yes, we still have some feedback in regards to things that we don't believe in regards to what 45 is doing. But, I think it's like you said, in the step in the right direction. But I think we have so much more to cover.
Still a long way to go.
But in regards to just equality, man, I think the hardest thing, and I'll end it, or at least my part with, the hardest thing that I wish could see is the notion of a African American in everyday life. Don't get me wrong, I might act like I don't see any type of judgment or racism, or I might use jokes to be able to clear the air to make somebody feel uncomfortable. If I feel like they are using racism and everybody knows me from high school or college, what I do is because I'm black, and then I'll make them feel either awkward or they'll laugh about it and we'll be able to push forward. But
yeah,
for me, I use comedy to be able to make everything better. In regards to the things that have happened, it's not necessarily true, man. We got to keep pushing forward. I think as a community, whether that is in the Fairfield community, Vallejo, other places that have had these things, we got to stand together and do things. And I know, I wish we had the ends to be able to be like, yo, we're going to donate $1 million. And I know it's not there, but we're at least going to make it aware to our fans and, people up out there. If you guys can donate to the Red Cross that's doing there, as well as organizations in that specific area that can be
local programs and organizations.
Because Puerto Rico is still under. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like still plenty of the island without power and means to survive. So
imagine our president, Mr. Barack Obama, being there, and imagine him coming to the Bay. I imagine him going. Imagine Barack in there, man. Who got them grapes? I got grapes.
My fellow pedestrians.
Go stupid.
So we gonna wrap it up for this episode of My Brother and Me. Just want to say thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you once again, and we'll be bringing more episodes very soon.
We hope.
Oh, we will.
Hopefully not 2 months.
Nah, no. It's never my fault though.
Yeah, Jesus, blame him.
But like Elijah said, if you can help with any of these natural disasters or tragic events and from the recent times, please reach out to any local programs and donations to give what you can. Anything helps: clothes, food, water, money. Each city that's affected will greatly appreciate it, and maybe we'll throw some links down in the bio for some of the programs that we're familiar with.
All right, y'all. But other than that, man, on that note, we will see y'all when we see y'all.
All right. Peace.